Hi, guys. Thanks for joining me this evening on Robin Hood Diaries. Listen, I promised a show about reality television, and there is a lot to pack in here. I am really trying to keep these shows shorter than they are or have been lately. So let's dive in. Reality television. Total oxymoron. Okay, why we don't say oxymoron every time we hear reality television, I don't know. Reality television is antithetical to reality. I did one to start out. I did a reality bit on a reality show series of a famous person. It was a brief bit. I was supposed to meet them in public somewhere, have some reason for doing so, and what have you. The place was just absolutely masked. Everything was like set up, tape over everything, every label, every logo covered, every piece of conversation fed to us to talk about. So that's my personal experience with reality television. It had nothing to do with reality. Anyway, this can get very sticky. This whole thing can get very sticky. So here's the deal. We're going to work with a friend and guy X. Okay, let's just go there because I don't have time for this changing genders and pretending it was a fairy tale or a nightmare or whatever. Okay, so guy X, a friend. Okay, so a friend of mine, years and years and years and years ago, took out an ad in the, I believe, LA Weekly, sort of a Lonely Hearts, club, whatever they call those folks that take out those ads. And to get a response, other creative folks, similar interests to this friend of mine. So he waited and he got a response from Guy X. Guy X took him to some icky Mediterranean restaurant on Melrose across from that person's work or school. I can't remember. Anyway, so then apparently this friend goes around with Guy X to a club either that night or perhaps the following night. Guy X's favorite clubs, incidentally, one was Club FUCK and the other was Club See You Next Tuesday. So I don't know how his fancy friends are going to would feel about that, I should say, about that being his scene at the time. But this is what my friend told me on perhaps this, like I said, second date. I don't even know. They had some kind of weird encounter, very unremarkable, according to my friend, of the nature you can only imagine. And then she, she meaning he, she, you know how that goes. He, sort of ran around with him, meeting people. A friend of his became a friend of Guy X's, and they ran very tightly in the same circles. But at the time, when my friend met Guy X after this blind date through an ad in the weekly, this friend went to go kind of research, not, vetting them, but he said he went to research Guy X where he had apparently worked at the time, which was stuffing ladies' feet into tacky pumps at some mainstream department store. Anyway, he says he saw him there. So, ooh, ID, bingo, you're selling lady shoes. Anyway, so when he's not going to Club FUCK or See You Next Tuesday, he's gallivanting, and my friend's gallivanting around with him. Then there's this lull, the same circles. My friend has a friend who's friendly with him, and Guy X is trying to, pass off this whatever manuscript apparently that Guy X had written about. I don't even know if it'll make it through the bleep, but it was something like necrophilia or some weekend at Bernie's involving some woman. And all I know is my friend said that he just table read that thing to death. Now, a table read is not when your friends get all together and just read that same old story 100,000 times. Swapping characters around, doing it on different weekends, and suddenly it's a table read. 1,700 table reads does not equal a real table read. Anyway, so apparently my friend said that never went anywhere. I don't know, it was supposed to be a movie or I don't know what, story, television, whatever it was. That never went anywhere. So my friend said, Eventually, work and life took them apart. And he said he hadn't heard or had anything to do with Guy X for years, except that Guy X became involved in reality television. My friend said, I don't follow television. I don't even own a television, believe it or not. My husband and I have not sat down and watched television per se in over 10 years, believe it or not. We watch movies, we watch documentaries, we read a lot, and we are glued pretty much to, of course, media outlets and news platforms. Nevertheless, this person, this Guy X person, sort of reemerged in this friend of mine's life after so many years. He had sort of, Guy X had made this career, put himself on the map with this reality television stuff, which started incidentally where we should all be looking at with a show called An American Family, which was the first reality television show in 1971. Please correct me, Brian, or anyone that knew Pat or Lance. Um, and it was just like seismic in its impact on societally, particularly being decades upon decades ahead of its time in terms of real reality television. People got divorced, people left home. I mean, this was real reality. It's not. You see, reality television, if you know something about art, there's something called hyperrealism. Hyperrealism, just Google it. But reality television, what you're seeing is really, really sort of hyperrealism television, hyperreality television, as it were. It's enhanced, it's over the top, it's overblown, it's infused, it's inflated, it's overly detailed. Like I said, look up hyperrealism. Anyway, so that's really basically it. This Guy X had gone on driving around the world or whatever they do with those 80s shows, those, when like a real world started on MTV and all those places or those things, and then spun off. And I don't know, now it's like run around the world and get like rewards and go to other places. I don't know. It's all over the place. So this person, this Guy X, made this like miraculous career out of this reality stuff. So all these years go by, and my friend is trying to get a pilot off the ground. I think it was a television or a documentary or something, and he's trying to get it off the ground. So he all but appeals to this Guy X, who's now in the industry, to help him. And there's very sort of nebulous yeses and nos and interest and non-interest. And apparently Guy X has become quite the prima donna, quite the diva, apparently. So he's really more interested in my friend brings a friend, a younger friend, very attractive younger friend who's a dancer, actually. And they go in to discuss this thing that this Guy X is pretending to be interested in my friend's project, this documentary or television movie, whatever. And oh, surprise, in the meeting, there's this sudden interest in my friend's friend, the dancer girl, young lady. And then suddenly she's doing all kinds of funny things, like they have her walking on her back, with her feet in, like her hands being, her feet or whatever, with a soda can on her stomach, apparently. Oh my God, that's so funny. In this day and age, having somebody do that in a meeting, where's human resources? Anyway, so then the attention is on this girl, friend of my friend, dancer girl. And then she gets wedged into some reality. Again, it was a spin-off of a spin-off. I guess he was still building his career a little bit. And so some spin-off of some spin-off they gave to the dancer girl, and all these high hopes, and it was embarrassing, humiliating, all over town, being treated like meat, and then boom, dropped off at home. That got shelved, so that went absolutely nowhere. So here's my friend again. That person's out of the picture. Now he's back out of touch with Guy X again. So now my friend has his own project that he's trying to develop. Uh, and it is something that he could get tremendous added value from the contributions of Guy X, not monetary, but just feedback, not connections, just things. I don't want to say mentoring, but aren't we all supposed to help each other up the ladder? You know, especially those in the LGBTQ plus community. No offense. Only my personal experience. That's all I say. That's all I talk. The truth, the truth, the truth. So, back to my friend and his project. And so, Guy X, now feigning interest, says that he will look at my friend's manuscript, I think at that point it was, and he would, I don't know, get back to him or whatever. Nothing. Crickets. Crickets. So then my friend pursues some kind of feedback, and he's told, and this project, being that it was a like reality, again, it was a documentary of, or docudrama, something very poignant, something family centered, something or other, and very sad story, as I recall my friend saying, very sad, and apparently Guy X says, "Oh yeah, you know, very off the cuff stuff, like it's a very effective story, or you know, or it was funny or something." Like, hmm, are we talking about the same project? So come to find out, after a little snooping, Guy X never even read the thing, the manuscript thing or whatever it was. My friend was trying to get him some feedback on. Never even read it. So I'm like, I told my friend, like, that's total. I mean, Mary, please, you know, I mean, come on. In what galaxy is that okay to be doing to my friend? Are we all supposed to be helping each other up the ladder, you know, after decades being like part of the same community? Where's the solidarity, you know? I get more solidarity out of my union, and that ain't saying much. So there was none. There was no solidarity. Guy X never read the project, and my friend was crestfallen. And that's my friend's what, third go round with attempts at either reality television or appealing to Guy X or those of the like. Apparently, there are still those of the like that I speak of in my book. Certainly not quite as egregious, maybe, perhaps. That's not the feedback I'm getting. Some of it is egregious. You want to see the screenshots? Anyway, I just hope that the Guy X's of the world just, I don't know. I thought they all died off. You know, apparently there's some seedlings out there that I don't know. But anyway, Guy X's of the world, I don't know. Just regroup and revisit who you are and what you're doing in this world and what really matters and who matters. Because my friend was just crestfallen, and I don't appreciate that. You know, it wasn't me, but that's just so uncool on so many levels. And then left it hanging, just left it hanging, said, "Call me." Once it was found out that he never even bothered Guy X to read my friend's material, whatever the material was, I never even read it. I mean, he told me about it, but whatever. So that's just like so uncool on so many levels. And you're like, you're one of them. Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Dang, even you. Mm-mm-mm. Oh well, anyway, that's my story about reality television. Don't buy it. Been there, done it, done the people that do it. Won't go there either. Um, it's just a crock, man. There's some. You're gonna watch reality television, watch baddies, okay? At least they know that they're full of it. Okay, you guys. Thanks again for being so patient, hanging in there with me. I got some really exciting stuff coming up. Actually, I got a fantastic acting teacher author on Friday, and tomorrow we're going to dive deep into my personal relationship with Lee Rich, who was a television mogul responsible for Dallas and Knots Landing and all the way deep back into the 70s and the Waltons, things like that. Well, I got behind the scenes, behind the closed doors stuff from when I was around Lee Rich, founder of Loymar. So that should be interesting. Anyway, take care. I love you. I'll see you soon. Bye.